Answered in kind. 79. Pluck the weeds within, but do not let me tell you what to believe. Right teaching does not arise from the clenched fist, nor from the tremor of fear disguised as conviction. Shame, fear, guilt, and anger. These are impoverished pedagogues, stern taskmasters of compliance, yet barren of true illumination. They may compel obedience, but they do not invite understanding. They may produce mimicry, but never integration. What is coerced lodges shallowly in the psyche, like seed cast upon stone, while what is offered in gentleness may descend into the fertile loam of the soul and there transmute into wisdom. True teaching is hospitable. It stands not as a tyrant at the gate, but as an open threshold, an invitation extended without insistence, without the subtle violence of demand. The open hand offers, it does not seize. And if the offering is refused, wisdom does not sour into resentment, but releases, unburdened, shaking the dust from its feet, leaving the other in peace. For a closed hand cannot receive, and a clenched fist cannot heal. One may speak of what has been lived, what has been suffered, what has been transfigured through the alchemy of experience, but counsel unbidden often calcifies the very resistance it seeks to dissolve. Where openness abides, guidance alights. Where it does not, experience itself assumes the mantle of the instructor, and life becomes the inexorable tutor of all that remains unlearned. And so, one declares, God, the Creator, gave us his wisdom and told us how all things were made. Yet, what is this utterance in the absence of lived compassion? What relevance has proclamation without embodiment? Do you not walk this earth among your brothers and sisters? Do you not breathe the same air, participate in the same immeasurable web of being? This vast and incomprehensible ocean of energy in which we do not merely reside, but of which we are intrinsic expressions? There are those who assert that many who now disbelieve once believed fervently. But rather than rendering judgment, one might inquire, what is their true intent? What do they seek? Is it not often the case that those who strive to save others have yet to interrogate the very meaning of salvation itself? And when one proclaims, prepare, for the end is near, what is the preparation that truly matters? Is it fear? Is it urgency? Or is it the quiet, persistent cultivation of love, mercy, patience, compassion, and understanding? For if one has lapsed from these, there remains work yet undone. Better, perhaps, not to leave a mess for eternity to reconcile. Yet, how many move with fervor through dimly lit corridors of their own unexamined psyche, mistaking zeal for illumination? They rummage through shadows, naming them righteousness, while the light they profess remains unembodied. No one taught them to turn inward, to examine the fear, the shame, the guilt, the anger, to question the roots of these inner disturbances. And yet, it was said, question everything. Not as rebellion, but as refinement. Not as defiance, but as devotion to truth. The sacred text, whatever form it takes, is both divine and human, ineffable and interpreted. But what is sacred? That which is sacred to one may not be sacred to another, and no amount of pounding upon the door of another's consciousness will grant entry. Peace cannot be forced into being. Invitation alone opens the threshold. Coercion is not a fruit of faith, but a confession of its absence. A revelation that somewhere within, a corridor remains unillumined. And in that darkness, the human imagination, imbued with divine potency, may conjure phantoms from unexamined fear, specters that haunt the psyche across years and decades. We have neglected the stewardship of our inner atmosphere. We have abandoned reverence for the imaginal faculty, though it is the very canvas upon which reality is perceived and shaped. Thus, unexamined fear becomes architect of illusion. And what then is called evil? Is it not merely darkness? And what is darkness, if not the absence of light, the yet unillumined? We have ascribed to it a power disproportionate to its nature, granting substance to what is, in essence, a lack. Free will, heresis, the capacity to choose, has been distorted into heresy, the accusation of choosing wrongly. Yet this too is judgment layered upon mystery. If one outsources all authority, whether to doctrine or to another human, has one not fashioned an idol? And yet it was said, make no idols, judge not, condemn not. The simplicity of these teachings is almost unbearable to the convoluted mind, which seeks complexity to avoid the stillness in which truth is evident. Do you wish to be right, or do you wish to be free? Right with whom? With another? With a system? With God? And what is this God to which one claims alignment, if not often a projection shaped by fear or longing? Some contend that without doctrine, morality dissolves, that without belief, one cannot discern right from wrong. Yet history itself reveals that certain actions, such as the taking of innocent life, has been consistently abhorred. And to assert that those without belief are inherently untrustworthy is to indulge in a perilous generalization, one that fractures rather than unifies. There exist those without religious belief who embody integrity with remarkable fidelity. Ignorance is not a moral failing, but an absence of seeing. It is the dim corridor in which one stumbles, not from malice, but from lack of light. And yet, there is danger in glimpsing a single ray and proclaiming total illumination, for we perceive always from an angle, never the whole. If you have seen all, why then the striving? Why the unrest? Why the compulsion to convince? Peace does not argue for itself. Knowledge may indeed be the key to freedom, but unused keys are mere ornamentation. It is application, embodied, lived, enacted, that unlocks the door, and even then, no one may turn the handle for another. Each must choose. Each must step through. And we step for no one but ourselves. Thus arises a paradox. If one claims to submit to an external divine authority, yet speaks with fervent certainty of what that authority decrees, from whence arises that certainty? Is it divine transmission or human interpretation clothed in sanctity? This is not a condemnation, but an inquiry. For cruelty has seldom, if ever, engendered healing. Punishment may enforce conformity, but it does not cultivate understanding. If fear were the teacher of truth, would not suffering have long since resolved itself? Why, then, does pain persist? Why do so many lash out, if not from feeling unseen, unheard, unmet? And how shall one meet another where they stand, if one is consumed with correcting them rather than comprehending them? The zeal to do good is luminous, but without interior stillness, without self-knowledge, it may become destructive, enacting the very harm it seeks to eradicate. And herein lies a subtle peril, the belief that one is beyond illusion. For the conviction of total clarity may itself be the most insidious obscuration. Discernment is not widely taught. Self-mastery is scarcely cultivated. Self-correction is rarely modeled. Instead, fear is propagated under the guise of guidance. Do this, or else. Yet, we are told, fear not. How far from the mark has this strayed? And if one persists in this contradiction, does one not deepen the wound, driving the arrow further while proclaiming oneself healer? The eye with which one beholds the divine is the very eye through which the divine beholds. There is no separation, no distance. Closer than breath is the source from which breath arises, the inexhaustible wellspring animating heart and mind, body and imagination. Have you been made for anguish masquerading as devotion, for striving devoid of peace? If one misses the mark, what then? Does one entrench further, defending the error as righteousness? Or does one soften, inquire, recalibrate? For words are confessions, and beyond words there is tone, there is resonance, there is the unspoken language of being. One may proclaim peace while emanating turmoil, and those who perceive will know. And when one is seen, truly seen beneath the fervor, beneath the assertion, what then? Will one persist in denial or yield to the quiet invitation of self-honesty? Do not let me tell you what to believe, for belief coerced is belief unrooted. Belief born of experience, of intuition, of direct encounter, this alone endures. And if I caution you against being told what to think, yet you impose upon another, have you not replicated the very pattern you resist? Thus the mirror turns. Coercion is not faith. Projection is confession disguised as accusation. Question everything, not to dismantle truth, but to refine perception. Knowledge is the key, but only when used. Application unlocks. Will opens. Action liberates. And the weeds, fear, shame, guilt, anger, these must be plucked not by another's hand, but by one's own willingness to see, to feel, to understand. Only then may the inner garden receive greater light. The kingdom of God is within, not as metaphor, but as lived reality. The heart is not deceitful by nature, only unheard, untrained, unattended. God is not distant. God has never departed. Closer than breath, ever present, ever flowing. And you, conscious participant, qualify that flow by the tenor of your awareness. So choose, not under threat, nor under compulsion, but in clarity. Pluck the weeds within, and do not let me tell you what to believe.